The feuding factions at the heart of the market basket stalemate seem to have adopted a new strategy. After weeks of relative silence, the Arthur T. camp and the Arthur S. camp are now engaging in a war of words, releasing a series of statements this past weekend. Like this one from a spokesperson for Arthur S. and the independent directors of the board. Blasting Arthur T., it reads, in part, "It's wrong to hold everyone hostage to gain a negotiation advantage. We are ready to meet anytime, anywhere." A spokesperson for Arthur T. returned fire, claiming his bid to buy the company has been met with counter-proposals laden with onerous terms that are far beyond comparable transactions. Late this afternoon, we received another statement from the Arthur S. side, insisting the board is ready to resolve the standoff. This uprising is unique in a number of respects, but it's particularly unusual because the employees are organizing without the help of a union. So should they consider taking up the union banner? Rand Wilson is a member of SEIU Local 888, a public service workers union, and we welcome him to Greater Boston. Are you surprised that these employees could organize the way they have been able to do so without a union?
Well, just remember that it's always workers that organize unions, not unions that organize workers. So it's exciting and thrilling to watch this struggle unfold, and to see the workers in motion, out on the picket lines. Perhaps they are, wary of being a labor organization, but the important thing to realize here is that the workers are acting like union members, using union language, relying on the labor law to protect them, exercising their rights, just the kinds of activity that normal union members engage in.
So if they were union members, would their rights be protected even further?
About the same. They're in this kind of a phase, actually, as without a union contract. They have what we call Section 7 rights under the NLRB, which protects them in engaging in any activity to improve or defend their wages and working conditions. And so they are standing up and proud, and they should be very, very proud of what they've done.
Let's bring in Christopher Mack, and it's good to see you, sir. He is the president of the Ownership Association, and that is a private consulting firm that's in Cambridge. Nice to have you. You are an expert on employee ownership of companies. Would that be an option in this particular case?
Well, it could be, but I don't think that's first and foremost in Arthur T.'s mind and the workers' mind right now. They're interested in getting Arthur T. back in charge. I mean, it's interesting to see that the managers and the workers are using the language of ownership. They're saying this is our store, and so they're acting like owners. Whether they eventually include employee ownership is entirely up to them. It's not being talked about as far as I know.
Right. WGBH News reporter, her name is Rupa Shenoy, and she asked some of the market basket employees who are out rallying how they would feel about becoming members of a union, and they said no. Let's listen in.
I'm senior management. So what union invites senior management into their fold? Senior management is out here with rank and file. So a union wouldn't work for us.
We're not looking for more money. We're not looking for better benefits. We're not looking for anything like that. All we want is our CEO back, Arthur T. DeMoulas.
So would a union make their lives better?
Well, absolutely. Because in this type of situation, it would give workers a formal seat at the table, a voice in their wages and working conditions. And if you think about it, that's what's motivating a lot of the employees to side with Arthur T. because they want to, in essence, elect their own boss. They want to say, Arthur T. should be our employer. Having a union voice would make that all the more stronger, in my opinion. But, a lot of times unions don't take the kind of step that these employees are taking, and I think all of us in the labor movement could take a page from their book and have a greater say in who our bosses are.
Chris, do you believe that a union would do that for them, would give them a better say at who their boss would be?
Well, technically, there's no right to name your boss under existing labor law. And I think what is very unusual here and extremely exciting is that this is a cross-role sort of a movement. This is white-collar and blue-collar people. They call themselves associates. And they don't in fact like the idea of being separated out. And I respect what they're trying to do. They're speaking very clearly. They're speaking together. I think if there was a union option here, it would have to be a different kind of a union product that was being offered to them, because they are teaching us all something about what happens when workers and managers get together and speak up for what they want.
Speaking of managers, traditionally in unions, managers are not part of the union, which is part of the reason that some of these employees say they wouldn't want to be a part of a union. Why is that?
It just has to do with they wanted, in 1935, when the National Labor Relations Act was drafted, they wanted to exclude managers and supervisors from the labor organization because they had the ability to hire and fire, and their supervisor, they saw a conflict between having the supervisory responsibilities and being a union member. I think they drew the line in the wrong place. I think that the labor law should be much more inclusive, but we've inherited a law from 1935, and that's what we're stuck with.
Would this situation be different if they were unionized?
It probably would. I think we see one of the things that's really different here is that, and this piece was, I think, led by the management people who walked out of corporate headquarters a couple of weeks ago, is that they're explicitly challenging the business model here. They see what the other side, what Arthur S. has in store, and it's to sell the company to a private equity firm or to a strategic that would, in their opinion, decimate the business model. And so that's not a conventional collective bargaining discussion. This is a much bigger sort of strategic critique that the managers have led and that the workers embrace. The second piece is this strong affection and respect for Arthur T., who they believe is who they trust to keep their business model together. But it's a critique of a business model, which is very unusual.
Gentlemen, we're going to have to leave it there today. This is a fascinating story. No doubt we'll continue to talk about it. Thank you both for being with us today.